My neighbor's 7-year-old son knocked on my door. My dad said to tell you not to drink the water today. Little Tommy stood on my porch looking serious beyond his years, clutching a piece of paper in his small hand. His dad, Mike, worked for the city's water treatment plant, but this felt like more than a routine maintenance notice. I knelt down to Tommy's level. Did your dad say why we shouldn't drink the water, buddy? Tommy handed me the crumpled paper with a child's drawing of stick figures and what looked like poison symbols. He drew this for me to remember. He said something bad got in the water and people might get really sick. My stomach dropped as I looked at Tommy's innocent interpretation of whatever his father had tried to explain to him. Mike was a water quality technician, not the type to panic over minor issues. If he'd sent his 7-year-old son to warn the neighbors, something was seriously wrong. I asked Tommy where his dad was now, and the boy's answer chilled me to the bone. He had to go tell the other families, but he said if anyone comes asking about him, I should say he went to Grandma's house. Mike was essentially going underground after issuing warnings about the municipal water supply. I called Mike's cell phone immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. I tried the water treatment plant, but the receptionist said he'd called in sick today. When I explained that his son had delivered a water warning, she suddenly became very interested and asked me to hold the line. After 5 minutes of hold music, a different voice came on, someone identifying himself as the plant supervisor. He claimed there were no water quality issues and that Mike had been suspended pending an investigation into unauthorized communications with the public. The supervisor insisted I should ignore any warnings and continue using tap water normally. That phone call confirmed my worst fears. Mike hadn't just discovered a water contamination issue, he'd discovered something big enough that city officials were actively covering it up and silencing him. His decision to send Tommy door to door was an act of desperation from someone who knew the official channels had been compromised. I immediately started knocking on doors throughout our neighborhood, sharing Mike's warning with anyone who would listen. Most neighbors were skeptical until I mentioned that Mike worked for the water department and had been suspended for trying to warn people. That detail made everyone take the threat seriously. By evening, our neighborhood had organized an emergency meeting in the community center. 40 families showed up, and we pooled our resources to buy bottled water for everyone while we figured out what was really happening. Several people had already noticed their tap water tasted strange in recent days. The breakthrough came when Mrs. Patterson, a retired nurse, mentioned that her grandson had been hospitalized with mysterious stomach problems after drinking tap water at school. When she called other parents, she found 3 more children with similar symptoms, all from schools served by the same water district. Mike finally surfaced 2 days later, meeting us secretly in the park after dark. He explained that routine testing had revealed dangerous levels of industrial chemicals in the water supply, contamination from an illegal dumping site upstream that city officials had known about for months but chosen to hide rather than address. The cover-up went all the way to the mayor's office. They'd been falsifying water quality reports and threatening employees who tried to report the contamination. Mike had been ordered to keep quiet or face criminal charges for spreading false information that could cause public panic. Armed with Mike's inside information and documentation he'd smuggled out of the water plant, our neighborhood group contacted the state environmental agency and local news stations. Within 48 hours, the story exploded across regional media, forcing city officials to acknowledge the contamination publicly. The investigation that followed revealed a massive corruption scandal involving the water department, city council members, and the industrial company responsible for the illegal dumping. Multiple officials were arrested, and the contaminated water supply was shut down immediately for emergency treatment. Mike was vindicated and eventually promoted to head of water quality oversight, with new protections for whistleblowers built into city policy. Tommy became something of a neighborhood hero, with families still thanking him for his brave door-to-door mission that had potentially saved dozens of people from serious illness. 6 months later, our neighborhood has clean water again, but we'll never forget how close we came to a public health disaster because of official corruption and cover-ups. Tommy's innocent delivery of his father's warning had exposed a conspiracy that could have sickened hundreds of families. The most powerful lesson was that sometimes the most important warnings come through the most unexpected messengers. A 7-year-old boy's simple message about not drinking water had revealed corruption at the highest levels of city government and saved our community from continued poisoning.